Hey there, it's me. So there are some people out there that seem to have it in their heads that ISAAC24 hates every imported car, brand, model, whatever, ever made. Don't know why that is. I might have a strong preference towards my domestics, but for some reason there's this thing going around that a certain person, not going to say who it is, started that I refuse to buy a foreign car, I refuse to use a foreign car, whatever. So this video is dedicated to those who think ISAAC24 wants all foreign cars to fall off the face of the earth. True to a degree, but also not true to a degree. Okay? No, and we're going to do this, we're going to break it down country by country, brand by brand. Okay? So we're going to start, so I live in America, I think everyone knows that. We're going to start with the closest country to me. We're going to start with Europe, and we're going to talk about European cars. European cars are bred into me, because my grandfather, that's all he does, is VW, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, Land Rover, Volvo, Jag. That's all he does, is work on those, transmissions specifically, because they cost that much to repair. So we'll start with Volkswagen, okay? Volkswagen owns Audi, they own Jag, I believe, too. No, they don't. They own Audi, they own Lambo, they own Porsche, okay? There are some Volkswagens that I like. I like all of the Passats from the early 2000s and before. I would love to find a VR6 wagon with a standard trans. That would be something I would buy. I like the Jetta we have. It's a 2010. It's probably the most modern Volkswagen I would buy. It's a sport wagon, 2.5 SE. The only thing I wish is that the ride was a little better. And I do like the old Golfs and the old Foxes and those old Volkswagens from that period of time, okay? I also love the old Scirocco's. Those are probably one of my favorite Volkswagens of all time. I would love to get a Scirocco if I could find one. They are bitchin' cars. Audis, I don't really have as much, preference for. I do kind of like the old A4s and the 5000s. My mother had a bunch of Audi 5000s. They were pretty cool. I wouldn't mind buying one of those, okay? Let's talk about Jag. Anything old with the Jag name on it, I'll take it. That simple. Oh, what else? Let's move on to Mercedes-Benz. Oh, Mercedes-Benz. One of my favorite European brands, aside from VW. I would buy a 1976 through 1986 Mercedes-Benz 300D because those fuckers can run for 16 million miles and not quit, and they are fucking luxurious. If I could afford one, I would have one. Believe me, that is probably one of my favorite cars of all time. In reality, any Mercedes-Benz from the mid to late 90s and back, I love. Gas, diesel, whatever, but I love the 300B. Can't say much for the modern ones, because, but I do like the old ones. Now we got BMW. My father previously had an E28 BMW 5 Series. It was a 535i, awesome car, whatever. Basically like Mercedes. Any BMW from the 90s and back, I would probably get. I don't think I would buy a 3 Series because that's sort of the entry level, but any sort of 5 Series, the old 740s, the old 7 Series and the 5 Series, I love them. Like I said, my father owned one when I was born, 86. Awesome cars. Alright, what do we got left in Euro? Porsche, there's no real Porsches. I mean, I love the old 911s and the old Boxsters and the old, the little ones. And I could probably say the same for Lamborghini, the older ones. I don't know much about the newer ones. Oh, Volvo. We got to talk about Volvo. I do kind of like Volvo. I'm not afraid to admit it. Volvo, in my house, has a special place. Because they make some of the best cars of all time, okay? I love, my favorite Volvo ever is probably the Volvo 240 wagon. My God, those are beautiful cars. I love them. Can't say as much for the 740, but it's still cool. I like wagons. I get it from my dad. I love the 740s. I love Volvo wagons and Mercedes wagons. The Volvo 240 is like the pinnacle, in my opinion, of good Volvos. But any Volvo from the 90s, is it the 240i? There was a sedan, I think it might have been like the 740 sedan in the 90s. They were good too. I love them. My neighbor, when I was born, had a mid-90s Volvo. I think it was like an 850? It wasn't a wagon, though, so it wasn't an 850. It was some mid-size sedan. Volvo was awesome. I've always liked Volvo. I've always thought they were cool cars. Modern ones, I mean, yeah. When I don't mention a year, think late 90s and back. Just rule of thumb. So I think we've covered all of the major European brands. If I forget one, I'll let you know. So let's move on to Japan. The Japanese. The cars that I seem to hate the most. All right, we got a couple brands we got to talk about, okay? We got Toyota, Honda, Subaru, Nissan, and Mitsubishi. I think those are all of them, all right? My favorite Japanese brand is Honda. I do like Hondas, okay? The old Accords and the old Civics and the Del Sols and the CRXs and the Preludes are all cars I like. Even some of the newer Civics, like 2008-9 Civics, I wouldn't mind buying one of those, okay? With a standard transmission. I wouldn't buy very many. There's not a lot of Hondas I would buy with an automatic transmission. First generation CRV and the second generation CRV. If I was looking for a reliable crossover small SUV, boom, I'd buy one. My grandma's had like 5 of them. So Honda, yeah, I would say Honda's one of my favorite brands. If I needed a cheap little car, the first car I would go to, if it wasn't going to be like a Chevy Cavalier or something, it would be a Honda Civic. It'd be a 2-door Honda Civic. My dad had a 2000 Honda Civic DX Coupe. That thing was awesome, but it started to burn oil at about 150,000 miles. Great car, though. So we covered Honda. Oh, and I'm going to get hate for this, and I know I'm going to get hate for this. I kind of think first generation Ridgeline is kind of cool. Not that I would buy one, but it's really fucking awesome looking, okay, be honest. The second generation isn't as cool looking. They did away with the weird avalanche style bed bars. That's kind of what makes them look interesting to me. I hate it, but it's cool at the same time. But no, I don't like the newer ones. They're basically Honda Pilots. So that's covered Honda, all the ones I would talk about. Now my second favorite brand would probably be a tie between Toyota and Nissan. We'll start with Toyota, okay? In my opinion, the best Toyota that I would buy would be a Camry from 2001 or back. After 2001, in my opinion, the Camry got boring as shit. Not that they aren't good, but they are boring as shit. Same with the Corollas. After, I believe, 2002, I think the Corolla lost all of its true basic sense, and the 2003 body looks too weird. It's not bad, but it's too, like, feminine. I wouldn't buy that. I would buy a Corolla from 02 or before. Yeah, it's probably going to kill you in an accident because of how little it is, but hey. I do like the Avalons, too, I gotta say. The first and the second generation Avalons are probably one of my favorite Japanese cars. I love the way they look. I love the way they ride. I love everything about them, especially the second gens, the 2000, the 2001, and the 2002 Avalons XLS. Perfect. With the V6, 3-liter V6, good old-fashioned V6. Now, granted, we've had Toyotas almost all my life. My mother's driven Scions and Toyotas. RAV4s are alright. The newest one we've had is a 2019. Oldest one we've had was a 14. They're just cars to me. I don't love them. I don't hate them. I might like it more if it had a V6 and not a 4-cylinder. Oh, and I don't think we can go by Toyota without talking about the trucks. Tacomas, yeah, they're kind of cool. In my opinion, the 2005 and earlier Tacomas are the coolest ones, and the T100s and the SR5s, little trucks from the 80s, those are cool. The Tundra, in my opinion, I think the 2006, and yes, I'm playing with a guitar pick, the 2006 and before Tundras are cool. Never would buy one because the gas mileage is horrendous, but they're cool trucks. And I like the T100s and the old SR5s. Hell, the one my grandfather had, he had an 87 Toyota SR5 in red. Little 5 on the, I think it was a 4 on the floor or 5, just a little single cab, short bed, 2-wheel drive truck. 87, rusted like fuck. I mean, you couldn't see the damn red paint anymore. It was so rusty. But hey, he had that. He probably got rid of it 2010, 2011 or so. And let me tell you something. God damn it, if I'll be damned, he gave that to my great uncle. He drove it. He used it as a trade-in on a Subaru Forester, which my aunt still owns. He passed away a couple years ago. And let me tell you something. I swear I'm not shitting you. When he traded in that red Toyota to buy the Subaru Forester, it was used. God, we'll talk about that when we get to Subaru. I'll be damned. The owner of that dealership, or the salesman, it was one of the two, I don't remember which one my grandfather said, bought that truck. They gave him like $500 for it. Bought that truck with, I think that had like the 2200, the 2.2 that was in the Camrys. Gave it to his son, and his son is still driving it as a daily driver. It is, I can't imagine how rusty it is. But that fucker's still going, and it's probably got damn near 400 or 450,000 miles on it. Just a little 2.2 rear-wheel drive truck. I gotta say, I don't think an American would, maybe a V6 Ford Ranger, hell, even a 4-cylinder Ford Ranger may be able to make it to that, but I don't know. Pretty damn cool. Okay, we covered Toyota. And you might notice I'm not going over every model. Well, I don't have the time for that. Okay, let's go to Nissan. Okay, Nissan, in my opinion, is an interesting brand because I like some of their cars, but I hate all of the other ones. Okay, pretty much any Nissan made after 2006 is out of the question because that's when Renault acquired them. Pieces of shit. And any car with a CVT, especially a Nissan, those damn Jatco pieces of shit, out of the question, okay? The only Nissans that I thought were cool were the old 90s Altimas and the Stanzas from the early 90s and late 80s, as well as the early Maximas. Those were kind of cool. I did sort of like the 80s Sentra. I thought that was a cool body. And, of course, I do like the 240 SX. I think that's an awesome car. Let's not forget Datsun either. There is really no Datsun model ever that I don't like. I love old Datsuns. I think they're awesome. I also love the chime that Nissan used to use on their cars. It was kind of like Hyundai. Hyundai used this chime that was like ding dong, ding dong. It was really weird. The Tucson we had didn't have it, but it was weird. Nissan used a chime. If I could, I'm going to put a video clip in, but here's how I can replicate the early 90s, late 80s Nissan chime. Ding, 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 ding. That's how I replicate it. And then the later ones were ding, dong, ding, dong. Weird chime, but I love it. I love it more than the Toyotas with the ding, ding, ding annoying fucking thing that's in Camrys from the 90s and stuff. It's annoying as hell. And I do kind of like the Frontiers. The older ones, that is. I do like, though, I don't know if this is true, but I think the Frontier is one of the only small trucks you can still get a standard trans in, and that's cool. If you buy a basic one... No, but here's the thing. Nissan cars suck dick nowadays, but the trucks are not actually that bad. They used to offer the Nissan Titan XD with the Cummins engine from the Dodges, and if you know me, you know I like the Cummins engine. Sadly, they don't make the Cummins V8 anymore for the Titan, but you can still get a Cummins inline 6. And I think that that's pretty cool because I've told people time and time again, if I had to buy a new truck today, it would be a Ram. And if I had to buy a diesel, it would either be a Ram with a Cummins or it would be a Nissan Titan with a Cummins. And of course, the old Pathfinders are cool. I like them. The Xterras, they were actually competitors to the 4Runner. Oh, gotta talk about the 4Runner. I missed it on Toyota. Okay, my neighbors, they have a 3rd-gen 4Runner. It's beautiful. It's in mint condition. Limited four-wheel drive, probably less than 50,000 miles. It's great. I personally hate all 4Runners from 2003 and after. I think they look just pissy horrible. I think that the 2002 4Runner was the last 4Runner that looked good. I think after 2003, they totally fucked up the 4Runner. I think it looks absolutely horrible. I would never buy a 4Runner made after 2002. If I had to, I would, but I would not buy one by choice. I would buy a 2002 or prior, because those, in my opinion, were the last good-looking ones. And reliable ones, though the new one. I do like the 4Runner V8. I thought that was interesting. Okay, back to Nissan. The Pathfinder, like I said, that's kind of cool. The Xterra was a competitor to the 4Runner. They're alright. I've never had... The only Nissan experience I've really ever had was a Sentra that we rented, and it was a newer one, so it had a CVT. It was a decent car, like... Probably not reliable, but it was a car. It got you from A to B, maybe to C, I don't know. It was decent. Didn't ride well, kind of stiff. Storage was alright, interior was fine. But I'll put it to you this way. You know it's bad when a Nissan Sentra has a better quality interior than a Chevy Traverse. Okay? I shit you not. We rented a 2019 Chevy Traverse and a 2018 Nissan Sentra back to back. Let me tell you something. The headliner in that Traverse, by the dome lights, you could push it up about 3 inches and the whole thing would go... It would shake and you could hear shit rattling. The Sentra, headliner didn't move. So you know that you're fucked when a Sentra, a Nissan Sentra, has better quality than your big car, your SUV. Hell, a Versa probably would have better quality. Fuck the engines, because they're not good. But the interiors, I mean. Okay, we talked about Nissan. Now let's go to Subaru. The JDMist of the JDMs. Well, actually, no, I think Honda would take that. Then Subaru. Okay, the WRX after 2000... Whatever the last year of the WRX that wasn't hideous is the one I would buy. Okay? Same with the Impreza. And there's a student that goes to my high school. He's a senior, so he's graduating. But he drives an old, late 90s Legacy, or early 2000s Legacy. Makes all kinds of weird noises, but it looks cool. I do like that. The Outbacks, I love them. I much prefer the 2005? No. The original Outback was a Legacy. It was the trim level of the Legacy. My favorite Outbacks were the ones that had the light bar on the back with the orange turn signal lights that had Subaru spelled out. They facelifted them in, I think, 2005, and they gave them smaller taillights and put the Subaru badge on the back. I don't like those as much, but I like them more than what my friend has, which is a 2011. I honestly think, though, that generation, the 2012 and before, was the last good Outback. Of course, it has the Boxer engine, so... I'll put it to you this way. My friend has a 2011 Subaru Outback 2.5i Premium with the 2.5i Boxer engine and the crap vagina transgender transmission, CVT. Let me tell you something, and I shit you not when I say this. It has about 296,000 miles on it, I think. And it's still running like a clock. I've been in it plenty of times. It starts right up, no problem. Now, the previous owner before her abused the shithole out of it. It's got scratches everywhere. The seats are stained. It came like that. They did not maintain it, and they drove it into the goddamn ground. But let me tell you, it ain't quit yet. It's still going. So that's, I'm testing the motion blur. Okay, so that's Subaru. Foresters, in my opinion, the last good Forester was, I think, the 2009 and before. Because 2009 and before Foresters were wagons. After that, they became SUVs. My aunt has a 2012 Forester, I believe, and that was the year that had the cursed engine problems. Hers has had so many goddamn engine problems, it's unbelievable. 2.5i Boxer. And a CVT. So that's Subaru. The only other Japanese brand we got to talk about is Mitsubishi. There's only really one Mitsubishi that I kind of think is cool, and that's the Montero Sport. That's about the only one. Maybe a Galant from the early 2000s, like a Spatzbear Galant. Those are kind of cool. But probably would. The only Mitsubishi I'd probably buy would be a Montero Sport. Oh, I have a Honda engine story to tell you guys if you want to hear it, but I want to see if I can show the car first before it goes to the junkyard. Last region of cars to talk about is by far my least favorite, my most hated, my most piece of shit, crap, fuck all of them, don't buy, horrible hunk of shit cars are Korean cars. Oh yeah, Hyundai and Kia. Pieces of shit written all over them. There is no Hyundai or Kia I would buy voluntarily. They all suck ass, and you will not convince me otherwise. There has never been and will never be a Korean car with reliability. It's not going to happen because there is no such thing as a reliable Korean car. They are all shit, they are all built like shit, and they all have shit fuck reliability. Check out Scotty Kilmer's video titled, "If You Buy This Car, I'm Going to Laugh at You." You'll see what I mean. The only Korean car I've had experience with that wasn't in a junkyard was the Tucson that my mother had. And very unfortunately, I was brought home in a Korean car. 2006 Hyundai Tucson. GLS, I believe. Turd-ass hunk of shit. The only reason that they leased that is because it was cheap. And then they bought a Scion, so they learned their lesson. In my opinion, a Hyundai or a Kia is a car that I would buy to laugh at. I would not buy a Hyundai or a Kia for anything except styling. Okay? The only Hyundais or Kias that I have thought that look remotely nice and not total white trash piece of shit is the Hyundai Sonata and Kia Optima that came out in 2002. That's the only one that I think, and I do kind of like the Hyundai XG350 and the Kia Amante, but that's it. Nothing else. There is no Korean car I would buy. In fact, if Korean cars fell off the face of the earth, I'd be fucking fine with that. They are all rental cars and they are all shit. In fact, let me tell you something. I live on my block. I don't think there is a single person in this neighborhood that owns a Korean car. Wait a minute, that's not true. There's somebody that lives down the block there. I think they live there. They own a 2002 Sonata, like I was talking about, with the V6, the nice-looking ones-ish. The same ones that Scotty showed us are horrible hunks of shit. And I am kind of surprised that that one is still even running. And then there is somebody way down there who has an old-ass Hyundai Elantra, like a 2005, 6 maybe. Surprised that one's still running. It's got all kinds of rust and issues. It sounds like shit. I'm shocked. It's the only type of Korean car I would like to see in person is one in a junkyard, because then I can give it a good kick and just say, yeah, fuck you, Korean cars. So there you have it. Those are my reviews of... Now, granted, nothing holds a candle to domestics for me. I will take a domestic till the day I die. But if I had to buy an import, those are some of the ones I would buy. If I had to rank region of vehicle by favorite, and I'm going to go by saying... I'm going to go in 3 categories. American, European, and Asian. But I'm splitting the Asian one into Korean and Japanese because those are the big 2. Favorite is obviously American. My second favorite region of car and import brand. It's a very close tie. Very close. But I think European ekes out the win. Just barely ahead of Japanese. Because in my opinion, the European cars are some of the most beautiful cars ever built. Volkswagens and Mercedes. They are probably... If I had to buy an import, my first choice would probably be a Volkswagen. Or a Mercedes or a Volvo. Or even an old BMW. Third choice, very narrowly, would be Japanese, like I said. Depending on. And of course, last place is Korean. Shit on those. And yes, I don't regret anything I say. If you're Korean, I'm sorry that you have to go through that, because you guys are known for shitty fucking cars, just like British cars. So that's my opinions on some cars, and I hope you enjoyed the little slideshow I brought you. So, maybe you guys will enjoy more in the future. Meanwhile, I can't show that. That's too explicit. Oh, yeah, my microphone stand. I need a new microphone stand. Hold on. Okay. See this? There you go. All right, we're back. All right, well, that's it. That's my opinion on foreign cars and my proof to you that I do not hate every foreign car. Thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe and click like if you like what you see. And follow me on the web, wix.com/theelevatorworld/fans. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, and drive your domestics. Peace out.